that focuses on women across the globe. It's titled Impact.
It's a powerful docuseries that tells the story of
Free Talk Live.
Do you think it's a respectable job to go around and threaten people over parking somewhere?
You're intentionally misrepresenting what a parking attendant does.
What do
I don't
they
think
do?
they threaten people in that manner. They write tickets.
What do you think a ticket is?
It's a little annoying.
The ticket's a threat.
This is why I think you come off so bad in those videos. This is not how people act in the real world. It's very unusual.
The parking enforcers are issuing threats, and that's what a ticket is. If you don't pay the ticket, there's a consequence behind that. They'll tow your car. In some cases, they'll boot your car. It depends on what city. The people that work downtown, a lot of them loved the Robin Hooders because the Robin Hooders would regularly save. These are the people who are putting change in expired parking meters downtown. They would regularly save downtown denizens, people who are working or living downtown, from getting multiple parking tickets every month.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
I got my first Barbie when I was 37 years old. And even when I was younger, I knew I didn't need to look like her to feel good about myself. And just because Barbie has a size 0 waist and wears dark makeup, does that mean that's the only way to be beautiful? I mean, what kind of message does that send to men like me? I always remember that this is just a silly toy, and it shouldn't change the way I look at myself. And if anyone has a problem with me being myself, well, then they're probably not really my friends. I also don't just play with Barbies. I play with Legos and Mega Bloks, because while I definitely like Barbies, I like building things too, and I'm actually really, really good at it. My name is Tim Mortensen. I'm 43 years old, and I know that I don't need to be defined by Barbie. I can be whoever I want to be.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live, the live call-in talk radio program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about anything you would like to talk about. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it is I, your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass, and joining me, it's
Peakless Mountaineer
and Melanie.
And we're here to talk about all sorts of fun things. I just decided right now that I'm going to begin saying, due to COVID, and then insert anything else after that, right?
It's just autocorrect.
Yeah, if you don't want to do something, due to COVID, I'm no longer going to pay taxes. Or due to COVID, I no longer accept your authority. Or due to COVID, right?
Well, as far as
due
I'm
to
concerned,
COVID, politeness no longer available.
Exactly.
As far as I'm concerned, I paid taxes twice this year because they took a third of my income with the lockdown, and they still wanted more. So
more for them.
It's like you already had your cut. Go away.
Yeah. And of course, nobody's getting a discount due to COVID, right? Due to COVID, nobody gets a discount, right? If you, all the businesses that haven't had anybody at their property, at the buildings, right? Because everybody's got to work from home due to COVID. They're still got to pay tax on that land that they own.
Funny how the lockdowns mean you can't earn rent, but they don't mean you don't have to pay rent.
Yeah. Due to COVID and everybody, all the kids having to be homeschooled over Zoom or whatever, right? You don't get a discount on your taxes that go to the schools.
I'm okay with that. That's still an improvement because before we were having to pay property tax and the state had all the kids, and now we only have to pay property tax. I'll take it. It could be improved on more, but I'll take it.
I'll take a bit of a gain. A gain is a gain. It's to be accepted. But
I was talking to a teacher, and it was the most absurd thing where she's like, well, we can't actually do class from home because the taxpayers want to see our cars at the school.
Oh, wow.
So
nobody is driving through looking at your cars and trying to figure out which one is the teacher. I'm sorry.
Right.
It's important that you put the people who could actually suffer from this disease together in one place while making sure the people who can't suffer from this are at home.
Due to COVID, I'm certainly not getting a discount on my car insurance, even though I'm driving.
Oh, I did.
1/4 of the amount, that I did before.
I did.
You got a discount on your car insurance?
Yeah.
Do you like pay by the mile or something?
No, it's by the month. Well, it's they think it's by the 6 months, but it's by the month.
Okay.
Well, from what I've seen,
good. That's awesome.
From what I've seen, if an auto accident occurs, it was due to COVID.
So does that mean your rates don't go up? Because it was not at fault then, you would think.
I'm sorry, does your insurance cover COVID-related anything?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Due to COVID, your insurance doesn't cover that anymore. That's probably what's going to happen. All the insurance companies are going to have these due to COVID caveats.
They can't do that here because car insurance isn't mandatory. We'll just stop paying for it.
Yeah, that's true. They could still do it, though.
They go out of business because we stopped paying them.
Well, they'd go out of business in this state.
Yeah.
But they've got a pretty good strong-arm racketeering bit going on in, well, every other state. Is New Hampshire the only state
Yes.
with no mandatory insurance?
Sounds like a good reason to be in New Hampshire.
Yeah. When I first got car insurance after moving here, I called up a company that I previously had car insurance with, and they were like, oh, so you just want this, that, and I'm like, yeah, this is what I want. This is, what I don't want, and that kind of thing. And it ended up being the same exact price. And I'm like, so I'm in a state that, doesn't require auto insurance, and I drive a used car, so really all I want is liability, right? If I get into an accident with somebody, I want to make sure that I'm covered in case it's my fault, or if I injure somebody, right? And they're like, oh, no, we just calculated what you had back in Washington State. And
No,
just gave
that's
you that.
not
I'm
how
like,
this works.
You realize I've moved almost 3,000 miles away, and now, and they're like, well, yeah, I mean, we're blah, blah, blah. They're a nationwide company and all that kind of stuff. So they fixed it, but still, it was like, really? Come on, guys.
Mine went from $70 a month to $20 before I got the commercial insurance to $20 a month. And now it's commercial insurance, so it's a whole different thing. But yeah, it was significantly just for not being where I was.
That was one of the nice things about getting insured for commercial driving out here.
Mm-hmm.
So I got insured for commercial driving when I was in Colorado, and it was just arm and a leg.
Yeah.
But the fact that no one has to buy insurance here means you actually pay the price that insurance is worth.
Right. Yeah. It's
Turns out
because there's no state involved.
Less without state involvement.
Because you're paying for insurance and not protection fees now.
Yeah. You're not getting strong-armed,
Things are cheaper when I don't have to give a mafia a cut.
Go figure. I did bring in for show prep today this from the AIER. 15 signs that you're in an abusive relationship with the government. I've angered the
only 15.
Yeah, I've angered the internet with a meme. This is not anytime recently, probably 3-4 months ago, but it's a meme where it's like just the shoulder of a man and he's got a fist, and there's like the cowering woman in the corner as if she had just been punched by the brutal man, like abusive relationship type thing. And it basically said, if you won't put up with abuse from, your spouse in your relationship or that kind of a thing, why do you put up with it when it comes from government? It's no different, right? And like people,
they had a shiny badge,
and people on my social media just sort of, like, oh my gosh, I was in an abusive relationship, blah 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 blah, and you don't understand. I'm like, well, you're in one now. You don't understand.
Well, and there is a difference because
Number one, congratulations on leaving an abusive relationship.
Right.
Number two, I suggest we all leave this abusive relationship.
Yeah, so if you're in the West, at least, you can just, if you're in a personal domestic abusive relationship over 18, you can just, leave. That's not really the case with the U.S. Even if you leave the U.S., they'll come bomb you and stuff.
Right.
So.
No, that's true. But at least I would think that if you are an individual, male, female, doesn't matter, that you've been in an abusive relationship and you've recognized that you were in an abusive relationship and you've gotten out of it, that the first thing you would do is think to yourself, okay, how did I get into that? And let me jot down, the warning signs, if you will, about how I got into that. So like I can be able to identify an abusive relationship in the future, right?
That would be the logical thing to do.
That would be the logical thing to do.
I don't know if it's the human thing to do.
Okay. Let's just say you did that. Now, if you did that and then you took that same list and applied it to how government treats you, and you found out that it's the same thing,
One of the nice things about this culture in particular is that you are not usually born into a marriage, except with the United States. So the abusive relationship that I have with the United States government exists, according to them, because I was born here.
The lottery of birth, right?
I mean, there still are abusive relationships that you are born into. They're just not romantic relationships.
Yeah.
In fact, most people are.
Yeah, like a child can be born into an abusive household, right? By mom and dad are, physically abusive, mentally abusive, whatever it is, right?
Which is exactly why they deserve more protection than anyone else.
Indeed. We agree. So, to anybody who gets their panties in a bunch about, me equating the government abuse to spousal abuse, I say you haven't looked into the situation closely enough. That's really what I'm trying to get at here. Because they are the same. The signs are the same. It's just a matter of whether or not you recognize them. Now, is close-in physical abuse from a spouse worse than, state abuse of an individual? I don't know.
Depends.
No, right? Because one is voluntary. I mean, limiting this to in the West if you're over 18.
Yeah.
One is kind of voluntary and one is not.
Right, you're saying
two things. Number one, you got to pick that spouse. Number two, you didn't have to pick any spouse at all.
Right, and so you guys are alluding to the fact that if it's a romantic relationship, you do have the ability to leave.
And you didn't have to go there in the first place, whereas you're born under an occupation of whatever government there is.
Right.
And you can't leave. And the bigger ones will come chase you. The smaller ones, all you can do is flee to a bigger one or another smaller one.
Right.
You can't opt to. You can opt to not be in a marriage. You can't opt to not be under a state.
Where's the battered women's shelters for the United States?
Where's the battered voters shelter for the United States? 603-283-6160. We'll talk more about the signs you're in an abusive relationship with government on Free Talk Live coming up.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com. Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Welcome back to the show. It is Free Talk Live, the live Sunday night edition. Our telephone number here is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. If you'd like to join in the conversation, we'll get to your calls and your thoughts in a moment. In the studio tonight, it's
Beakless Mountaineer
and Melanie.
And I am your host for the evening, the Lord Reverend Captain Kickass. I know I've got too many titles, but, deal with it. Before we go on, I wanted to tell you that Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now and click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you will find a cornucopia of information neatly organized by your needs. There is no longer an excuse for ignorance of this important world-changing information. If you are a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com, where you can get the latest headlines of all the news relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. Visit bitcoin.com. Going to your calls and thoughts, we have the Domster calling in. Domster, what's on your mind?
Hey, Captain. Thanks for having me. I made a rookie mistake with Bitcoin, and I wondered your thoughts on how I could potentially correct it.
What'd you do?
So, I was switching between one wallet and another wallet just to see what it was like, and I accidentally sent all my Bitcoin Cash to my Bitcoin wallet address. And I wondered if you knew of the best way to correct that, hopefully get my money back.
That sounds like you're in a bit of a pickle. I unfortunately have zero experience having done that. Do either of you?
I didn't know that you could do that, actually. I thought that if you tried to send Bitcoin Cash to a Bitcoin wallet, it just wouldn't work.
Some wallets have protections for that, but there's nothing in the blockchain preventing that. I don't think that's recoverable.
Ouch.
Yeah, I unfortunately...
What wallet are you using?
That's a good question.
I was switching between the Bitcoin.com wallet and Edge wallet, because I hear you guys talk about it all the time. I did a little bit of research, and I do have some information on this, so I can tell you what I found.
Okay, go ahead.
So basically, there's two types of Bitcoin wallets. There's SegWit and non-SegWit.
Right.
It just so happened I sent it to a SegWit address, which makes things more complicated. I read that you have to get in contact with certain miners to mine it back for you, but even then, chances are you're out of luck.
Yeah, you'd have to do a 51% attack to do it what you're describing, I don't know that that's ever worked out for anybody.
So what I would check, if you haven't already, is in Edge Wallet, you probably have a Bitcoin section, but have you tried adding a Bitcoin Cash section? Because they might have already put it in the right area.
I have, within Edge Wallet, I have a Bitcoin, a regular Bitcoin wallet, and a Bitcoin Cash wallet.
Okay.
And I did check, and the addresses are different, unfortunately.
Right.
So,
do you I'm sorry, Dumpster, from the Bitcoin.com wallet that you have, do you have the keys?
I do. Yes.
Okay. So, we probably shouldn't go into it here on the air, but you might try importing or sweeping, as it's called, those private keys into your Bitcoin section of your Edge wallet and see what happens. I can't tell you what happens or what's supposed to happen when you try to send Bitcoin to a Bitcoin Cash wallet or Bitcoin Cash to a Bitcoin address. I don't know what's supposed to happen on the back end, but if it stalled out for some reason and you still have the keys, it might be worth a shot for you to try and sweep those just into your Bitcoin wallet.
Yeah, I don't know how the Bitcoin.com wallet works, but what should have happened is that it's actually still there. Like what should have happened is that it didn't get it should have noticed that it wasn't a valid transfer, so it should actually still be in that wallet, even if it hasn't
BTC
figured
and
that out
BCH
yet.
addresses are the same format though, so there's no way for there's no way for it to know that unless the wallet has a safety feature in there to block it.
So, Dumpster, just to confirm, in your the wallet that you were moving from, when you open it up, it shows that your Bitcoin is gone?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. You might reach out to the support teams on both wallets. I know that at least Edge support has been great for me. They've been responsive. I think they get back to you within 24 hours. You'll want to, lay out the details of what happened. Give them, hey, here's the from address, here's the to address. Is there anything I can do? What do you guys recommend? Sadly, I've not been in this predicament, so I don't know if it's recoverable or not.
Either way, I've learned my lesson, and hopefully other people can not make the mistake that I made. So.
Indeed. I hope you didn't lose your life savings, bro.
Not my life savings. Thankfully not.
All right. Anything else on your mind today?
Captain.
All right. Have a good night. Thanks, man.
You as well.
Yeah.
When spending your money, make sure you don't just throw it in the air.
Right. Yeah.
Ouch.
It's kind of like, I don't even have a good analogy. I was trying to think of something that might be good with that, like, Canadian quarters versus American quarters, and trying to put them into a vending machine and they just get stuck and you never get your soda out or whatever you're trying to buy, your gumball.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things like I don't go into the convenience store, get the thing, and then just throw the money for the thing on the ground.
Yeah. I mean, I've almost made this mistake. We were at early on one of our meetups that we do here on the Sundays, but we were at the burger place, and I was going to pay for my meal, and Ian, the host here, he was standing behind me, and he noticed that I was about to pay to a Bitcoin Cash address with my BTC wallet, or vice versa. I'm not sure which one, but I was like, oh yeah, hey, thanks, man, and I was able to switch out. So he kind of saved my bacon on that one, and by bacon I mean the price of a burger. So I almost got in that situation, but it didn't really happen. So
yeah, and
you shouldn't pork your beef like that.
A good thing to do is, unless something really weird is going on, to type in the keys instead of sending the money to a new wallet.
Yeah, if you're transferring from one wallet to another, sweeping the keys is the way to do it. I haven't done that myself yet. I have had to do something similar when I was moving from one hardware cold storage device to another, but not with all of my things, right? So the ones that had the high network fee, so BTC specifically, that particular day when I was performing this operation had the high network fee, so I had to do a key sweep But everything else, the network fees were low enough that, I only missed a few pennies by doing the actual, blockchain transfer, making it a transaction officially.
Yeah, it is one of those things where, like, if you have a Canadian bank account and you're trying to move it into a Swiss, you've got to get your ducks in a row. A Canadian bacon count?
Is that like 1, 2, 3 pieces of Canadian bacon? 603-283-6160. We'll talk about the signs you're in an abusive relationship with the government. Coming up on Free Talk Live.
Moose is the German Shepherd, now 11, and he's been an amazing dog. Moose is so active and so alert and hasn't had any kind of health problems at all. He has a beautiful coat, and at 11, he'll still run and chase the ball. He has been on Dynavite since he's a puppy.
Dynavite for life. Because if they're getting all their vitamins, micronutrients, microbials from the beginning, then you're not going to run into the problems associated with the grass, pollen, dust, dirt, fleas, ticks, you name it, and the itching and shedding down the road.
DINOVITE.com.
We tell anybody that has a dog, if there was something that you could do right from the beginning so that you don't have expensive veterinary bills, why would you not do it? Get the Dynavite.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynavite from DINOVITE.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Welcome back. It is Free Talk Live, the Sunday night edition. Without government, who would bully the bullies when you're being bullied by bullies?
No one, because you could just walk away if you wanted.
Very good. Our telephone. We no longer have the toll free. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join in the conversation. In the studio tonight, it's the captain,
Peakless Mountaineer,
and Melanie.
And we're going to begin talking about this article from AIER, that is the American Institute for Economic Research. This particular article is co-authored by Lucio Eastman and Micah Gartz. Published December 31st of 2020. Fully 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by February, with only 8% of resolutions being kept year-long. After the holidays, many people endeavor to eat healthier, exercise more, etc., and so on. It's as simple as committing to floss or exercise daily. That is until you run out of floss and forget to buy more, or are too sore from exercise to exercise the next day.
Exercising daily isn't really a good plan anyway. It should be 3 times a week or 4 times a week, depending on stuff.
That is true.
Depends on how much exercise you do.
But the point is, it's easy to fall out of new habits and fail at, these resolutions.
Well, yeah, if you go from trying to go from 1 to 10 all at once, I don't exercise at all. Now I'm going to do it every day.
Sadly, that's what most people do with their New Year's
fail.
resolutions.
Right. That's why they fail, is you go from 0 minutes to 1 full hour every single day. No.
Your body's going to object to that, first of all.
Yep. So here's a resolution worth keeping. Stop allowing abusive relationships to continue. Seems like a good idea to me.
Are you saying we shouldn't be in abusive relationships?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you are in one, you should not allow it to continue.
You're obviously against relationships.
Obviously. No, I'm against abuse. If you have ever lived through an emotionally abusive relationship, you already know the signs. However, if you're unaware, it can be hard to accept or realize that you're already in one. I'm in one right now. You're in one right now. Yes, you're in one right now. We are all in an abusive relationship together.
I object to the classification of that as a relationship.
I'd just like to point out that we're all in it together.
Yes, thank you, Peakless. This says, as the infographic below describes, it's kind of laid out like
infographic it is.
It's kind of laid out like a zodiac circle. So
it's the sort of thing you would expect in a pamphlet.
Abusive relationships can arise anywhere, with partners, friends, families, workplaces, or governments. Emphasis added.
When the government does it, it's not abuse.
Yeah. It's like all these people who are totally bad with money, and the government's like, how come you're so bad with money? I learned it from watching you. How come you're a bully? I learned it from watching you. So anyway, here are the warning signs of an abusive relationship, along with current examples of how governments are offenders, most of which you'll likely recognize. I feel like Jeff Foxworthy. You might be a redneck if, right? You may be in an abusive relationship if, 1, they make you stop seeing your friends and family. We're all in this together, apart. Stay home, stay safe. That's what we're told. At first, it was temporary. Staying apart would slow the spread, flatten the curve, preserve hospital capacity, and the energy of our exhausted healthcare workers. And we followed along, believing that staying apart would keep us together. But to date, many bars, restaurants, and cafes are still closed or have capacity limits. Some have closed permanently. That is to say, they're out of business. I'm ad-libbing here because they are out of business. They estimate something along the lines of 50% of all small businesses will be closed permanently as a result of the government's abuse, which they claim is because of the COVID-19.
Are you suggesting that businesses require customers to give them money?
Yeah.
The U.S. doesn't realize that because they don't have customers and they just have all this money. So
Right.
that it doesn't occur to them that businesses need customers.
Bingo.
Why don't you just tax them? Duh.
Border closures and travel restrictions prevent people from congregating with family for holidays or taking vacations. We've witnessed this recently as the holidays have just passed. Even neighborly gatherings are subject to curfews or bans. Then there's the tragedy of loved ones dying alone in hospitals or long-term care facilities due to restrictions. So, in other words, husbands and wives can't go visit each other. Families can't visit their loved ones. All sorts of fun things, leading to more people dying, not of COVID-19, but of sheer depression and lacking the will to go on because they can no longer interact with their chosen carbon-based life forms.
Having the will to go on is not essential.
And just as a point of, clarification here, I'd like to express to governments everywhere that a business is deemed essential by the customers who frequent the establishment. That's the only source of legitimacy that a business needs to be called essential. Now, if you are a business person...
who put them on the committee?
Now, if you are a business person and you make a crappy product, or you provide a crappy service, or a service that nobody wants or needs, that's on you, right? You're going to be out of business regardless. But if you're a business person and you put out a service or a product that people want and need, they're going to let you know by frequenting your establishment or buying your product. That's how you know your business is essential.
Yeah, one of the arguments that I've heard is, well, I'm in, some sort of an entertainment. And, okay, well, that's not essential.
You're here.
Well, what I'm saying is I've had friends and family who are in some form of entertainment, and they're like, well, this isn't essential. And
yeah.
Okay, well, it's not essential today. It's not essential tomorrow. But my God, if you never do anything to amuse yourself, you will die.
I've got dozens of friends, if not hundreds of acquaintances that are all musicians out west in the Seattle area. Some of them have moved, out of the west and live in different places, but none of them have been able to play a gig since March of this year. None. Even the bands that are doing it professionally, who tour all of the time because, they didn't have a number one hit on the radio, right? But they still make their money by touring all the time and selling their T-shirts and CDs and, all that kind of stuff. They haven't been able to go out. These musicians are turning to these bastardized concert things. A couple of them have tried the drive-in concert. Those seem to have failed miserably because, I don't hear about them anymore. They were tried, a few months ago. I got to go see a stand-up comedian do one of these things, and it was meh. Wasn't the same. And so they're also turning to now these online live streams. They're selling tickets for the privilege of watching themselves jam in their own rehearsal space because they have no other choice.
Well, and the argument is, you can live without going to a concert. For how long? I mean, we have holidays for a reason. They shouldn't be every day, but they should happen every year.
I would object. Well, I wouldn't object. I would say that music specifically is more important to people's mental health than any government entity has ever thought of. Particularly live music, where you get to interact with hundreds, maybe thousands of other carbon-based life forms like yourself and enjoy, the artistry of what they bring to the table and have a good time with, other human beings that are enjoying the same thing as you.
Well, and to me, the more important thing is, we all are not going to be surgeons. It's just not going to pan out that way.
Right.
We have to produce income somehow.
Right.
So,
surgery is not something you need every day either. But it's something you really need when you need it.
Yep. 603-283-6160 is our telephone number. Have you been deemed not essential by the government?
Or have your clients?
We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Six 0 3 2 8 3 6 1 6 0. That was my attempt at doing the call-in 9 phone number for the hearing impaired. Oh wait, no, I'd have to do this. 603 283 6160 is our call-in line if you'd like to join the conversation here at Free Talk Live.
It was an attempt.
I didn't say it'd be successful. And you can call in, talk about whatever you'd like, take control of the airwaves. You can talk about whatever we're talking about, what we've talked about in the past, or whatever's on your mind. In the studio tonight, it's me, the captain.
Beakless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
we have been talking, although we've segued a little bit here and there, about this article.
No, never.
Be careful, we might segue now.
Having a conversation?
Spontaneous segue, take number 7,842.
Do you have a permit for that?
Pardon me, sir. You are wandering all over the avenue of consideration. Do you have a degree? Take it out of the frame, please. All right. This article from AIER. 15 signs you're in an abusive relationship with the government. Sign number 1, you're in an abusive relationship if they stop you from seeing friends and family. Well, the government's kind of done that in many places around the United States.
They tried here. They haven't stopped me.
Isn't that the number one warning of you might be in a cult?
That too, yes. Yes.
Like, step 1, separate them from their support network.
From their family. Yep, absolutely. So we've covered that one. Number 2, they won't let you go out without permission. Your papers, please. We've seen this with some of the lockdowns, right? I don't think it was in the U.S., but it was Spain, maybe? No.
I took the most walks in my life in March because it was illegal.
Nice.
It actually said you're allowed to go out for fresh air or exercise, but I was going out to be petty, which was not covered by the exceptions.
Yeah, there were areas where you literally had to text the authorities your intention for leaving the house.
Yeah, well, don't live in New York or California. Just that's the only thing.
When are you leaving? Why are you leaving?
Yeah.
When will you be back?
The government has provided lists of what they consider essential for maintaining critical infrastructure operations. Are you an essential worker? While it may seem that your movements are not restricted in most places within the U.S., there are many other countries where going out means possible abuse by police and authorities for arbitrary violations or fines for breaking lockdown orders. In France, citizens need papers to validate their reason for being out. In one of the toughest lockdowns seen in Australia this past year, 3,000 tenants were forcibly kept from leaving their apartments.
Excuse me, do you have a hall pass?
Yeah, that's exactly what this sounds like. This separated them from the separated partners and children from parents. These continued breaches of public trust will undoubtedly spread as reports of human rights abuses pour in. The AIER does link to that report. So, yeah, you can't do anything without our permission. You can't go to your Thanksgiving. Can't go to your Christmas. We recommend that you only, go out with people that are from your household and nowhere else. All these things that these governments were doing.
I mean, who saw them literally regulate how you use the bathroom during Thanksgiving?
Right.
That was New York. Don't live in New York.
That was California, actually.
Okay, well, New York did it too. Don't live in New York or California, okay? We've been knowing this for a very long time.
New York, whatever. What happens in New York and California generally spreads.
So we should do like a reverse secession. Just kick them out.
What do you call that?
I don't know. It's not really a thing. Countries don't usually like push out lands.
Right, yeah.
I've got it. 48 of us will secede at once.
That's fine.
And there just won't be a California or a New York in that list.
They can join Canada. Somebody said that earlier. I think.
Will we succeed at seceding?
No.
Succession?
We won't.
Succeed at a successful secession. Ooh.
I think they'd nuke us first.
All right, so...
She succeeds at successions on the seceding seashore?
With seashells, no less. So number 1, stop you from seeing friends and family. Number 2, they won't let you go out without permission. Mommy, Daddy, can I go out and, work? Can I have a job? Can I go out and see people?
You can go out, but you can't work.
Number 3, tell you what to wear. You can only go out if you're wearing approved clothing. In March, Dr. Fauci, that's Fauci for the rest of you, Dr. Fauci told 60 Minutes that people should not be wearing masks. The masks are important for someone who's infected to prevent them from infecting someone else. Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask.
And he admitted later that was a lie and not a mistake.
Have you heard about the new Dr. Fauci lie admission? So he's been creeping up the how much it takes for herd immunity to happen.
Oh, yeah.
60, 70, 80. Well,
do I hear 90?
I knew in the beginning that it was 90%, but I mean, it's all estimates, so I was never really telling you anything
We
else.
already have numbers on that, and I wish that they would have named it something else. But we already have numbers on that.
Well, we can't give people the idea that they could, like, have immune systems on their own without our permission.
Immune system? What's that? Dr. Fauci also acknowledges that they are more symbolic, noting, when you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better. It might even block a droplet, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think it is.
It might make you touch your face a lot more.
Oh, it certainly does.
He actually did mention exactly that during that interview.
Most states have now mandated masks, which are now a cultural icon, signaling individuals' social responsibility and good citizenship. And if you want to be extra safe or extra socially conscious, follow Fauci's lead and wear two.
If that's true, if any part of that is true, then you now have a First Amendment argument against wearing masks.
Right?
Because they can't, not only can they not suppress your speech, they cannot demand speech.
Clearly they can.
Yeah, well, if only they respected any of the amendments.
That's not actually part of the amendment. That's Supreme Court case law for the...
Yeah.
I mean, it's something you wouldn't do anyway, but it's...
Fortunately, they closed all the courts anyway.
Right. My point is that the government rarely acknowledges laws and applies them to themselves.
Well, yeah.
Following your own rules is for the little people.
Yeah, rules for thee, not for me. Rules for thee, not for me. If you want to be extra, extra, extra safe, goggles might also be a good idea in addition to the two masks.
Yeah, that's a good question. Where are your goggles? Are you not taking this seriously?
All right, so from the females that I know that they do work in helping other people who've been abused. These are all true for abusive relationships. They prevent you from seeing friends and family or cut you off in some way. They won't let you go out without permission from them, and they tell you what to wear. Right? So some of these people look like, well, he only wants me to wear this type of clothing or whatever, right? That type of thing. So far, these are all true for both, a romantic abusive relationship and a government abusive relationship. Number 4, this might hit home for some of you. Monitor your phone or emails. Yeah.
Only the FBI monitors my phone and emails.
I'm pretty sure that Clapper told us very specifically that they're not doing that for any U.S. citizen.
The Clapper? Like clap on, clap off. That one?
That clap is much easier to get rid of.
Different clap. In an effort to promote public health and stay ahead of government regulations, tech companies Apple and Google have begun including COVID notification systems in mobile devices' operating system updates. Voluntary downloads of contact tracing apps, such as the French government's 2 anti-COVID app, have been encouraged by states. Others have been more forceful in active monitoring. For instance, Taiwanese resident Milo Say woke up to 2 police officers knocking on his door after his phone's battery ran out for 15 minutes. The dead battery triggered an automatic notification of potential quarantine breach, prompting authorities to send warning text messages and missed calls before conducting an in-person check.
You haven't returned my texts. Are you cheating on me?
You haven't returned my calls? You haven't. Yeah, I know. You're with her, aren't you?
It's been 10 minutes.
Monitoring your phone or emails. And all your cell phones are spying on you. So if you didn't know that, you know now. Edward Snowden told you about it, but you didn't listen. Maybe you did. Hopefully you did.
So everybody go yell at your FBI agent through your phone as soon as we go to break.
Indeed. 603-283-6160 is our phone number. If you would like to join us, more Free Talk Live is coming up.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar. and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agoristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agorist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agoristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agoristhosting.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Introducing the congressional class of 2021. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. The 117th Congress convenes today. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is expected to keep the gavel.
Usually it's a party line vote, but always there's some deviations. You might have people voting present, and this is why Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats have indicated it is so important that they vote for her so that they maintain the majority. And you can't beat somebody with nobody. You know, we've had votes cast over the years for Colin Powell, John Lewis, the late congressman from Georgia.
Fox's Chad Pergram. Over in the Senate, at least a dozen Republicans plan to object to certifying the Electoral College results on Wednesday. Senator Ted Cruz on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures.
We've seen in the last 2 months unprecedented allegations of voter fraud. And that's produced a deep, deep distrust of our democratic process across the country. I think we in Congress have an obligation to do something about that. We have an obligation to protect the integrity of the democratic system.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell had urged Republicans not to join House Republicans in these certification challenges. He's publicly acknowledged President-elect Joe Biden is the winner of the race.
Fox's Mark Meredith in Washington. Thousands of President Trump's supporters plan to protest in the nation's capital that day. The balance of power in the Senate remains up for grabs because of a pair of runoff races in Georgia.
In the first runoff race, you have incumbent Republican Kelly Loeffler facing Democrat Reverend Raphael Warnock. In the other race, incumbent David Perdue facing challenger John Ossoff, who says if you send him to Washington, he'll deliver on those $2,000 checks. Now, early voting shows Republicans will need a strong turnout north of here in Atlanta, and that's why President Trump tweeting he's heading down here tomorrow at 9 p.m., rallying in Dalton.
Fox's Griff Jenkins. If Democrats win both races, the chamber would be split 50-50, with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris casting the tie-breaking vote. America is listening to Fox News.
Why are you still going to the post office? Do it all online with Stamps.com. Avoid trips to the post office, print postage, send invoices, letters, or packages, and schedule pickups right from your home or office, 24/7. Get close to 10% off first-class stamps, up to 40% off priority mail, and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter code FOX for a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. Stamps.com, code FOX.
Tens of thousands of Iraqis gathering in Baghdad to mark 1 year since the killing of a top Iranian general in a U.S. drone strike. Iran responded to the death of Qasem Soleimani by launching a barrage of missiles at bases in Iraq. More than 100 U.S. troops suffered traumatic brain injuries in those attacks. So far, COVID-19 vaccination targets for the American people have fallen well short of promises.
Dr. Moncef Slaoui, top advisor for U.S. vaccine development, says there must be a better effort in getting vaccines to people. He feels the inoculation rate will rise, but said on CBS Face the Nation they need help from states to determine where doses should go, whether it's health facilities or drugstore chains.
That has to be done with people that have granular knowledge of their population, their movements, where the older people are.
Dr. Slaoui says not only will getting past the holiday season help numbers, but there is the promise of yet another vaccine approval that could come in a matter of weeks. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
NBA Hall of Famer Paul Westphal has died. Westphal won a championship with the Boston Celtics in 1974 and moved to coaching after his playing career ended. The 70-year-old was diagnosed with brain cancer last August. The star of Wonder Woman 1984 announces a new series documenting accomplishments of women.
Gal Gadot took to Instagram to announce a brand new National Geographic docuseries that focuses on women across the globe. It's titled Impact.
It's a powerful docuseries that tells the story of...
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Jode Cress Beckman. From claim jumpers to politicians to coyotes, the straight shooter that shook up the presidential race is taking them all on and licking them good.
Hello, Jode.
Who and what's behind these potato monkey shines?
Well, these scientists are trying to mass-produce potatoes that are more resistant to disease, but they're doing so in potentially dangerous ways that alter their DNA.
Tater disease, what brung us Irish.
Right.
You give a tater man's constitution, you can bet he's coming to play old Joe to call.
Yes, well, nature's revenge could come in the form of disease
now you listen
or
to
allergens.
Me, taters. You gave a mind of a tater.
Jode, please, let me make my point.
You're tater-minded and you're looking to infiltrate old Joe's cabin, but you're too late.
No.
Now you get out, or I'll slice your tater heart out and fry it up on my griddle.
Okay, Jode.
Now, y'all stay close here. Gonna have my jug band back here, and if Jasper don't let me strum the washboard, we're gonna resort to cutting.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Rolling right into hour number 2 of Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio program where you can talk about whatever's on your mind. Our telephone number here is 603-283-6160, 603-283-6160. If you'd like to join the conversation, we'll get to your calls and thoughts momentarily. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Bigless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
And we've been talking about this article from the American Institute of Economic Research, also known as AIER, about the 15 signs that you're in an abusive relationship with the government. And we'll talk more about that in just a bit. But first, let's go to your calls and thoughts. We have Padraig calling. And Padraig, you are on Free Talk Live. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate and enjoy listening to you guys and your points of view. I don't always agree with you. Probably 98% of the time, I agree with you. I can only speak for my community in the state of New Mexico, not the whole United States.
Mm-hmm.
But I have Michelle Lujan Grisham in there. She's worth $200 million. And I'm a farmer. And I try to raise things for livestock and stuff like that. And it really hurts me to see my local restaurant is shut down. They take out food in December and January in styrofoam plates. And I honestly think, the Antifa and the Black Lives Matters, they always want to defund the police. And I hear you guys talk a lot, but I never hear you say anything about defunding the government.
Oh.
I had a mill levy override from my schools for their school buses, but school buses don't run anymore, and I won't get my money back. I've had a mill levy bonds issue on the libraries, but all the libraries are closed. I was just wondering when the people of New Mexico are finally going to see that the way we're going is not the right way to go. And that's what bothers me most, because I see a lot of people that are hardworking and they have good hearts here, and they're trying to do the right thing, but we can't always be afraid and hide in a hole.
Yeah,
and I want the politicians. They get their checks no matter what. The teachers get their checks no matter what.
Yeah.
Law enforcement gets their checks no matter what.
Politicians,
and we're out here struggling to make a living, and they're raising my property taxes. And I can't say bad words on the radio, but I want to ask him, what the heck is the matter with you people that you cannot see what's going on in your own communities? That's what I want to ask the politicians.
Well, it's not they can't see it.
Yeah, it's that they don't care.
You're right. They get paid either way.
Yeah. So
and as long as
they
get
care?
paid either way, why should they be responsive to your desires? I mean, you started this with, we never talk about defunding the government, and that's not true. The way we talk about it is the only effective way that actually works is start using cryptocurrency instead of their dollars.
Right. Or barter or exchange in some other way. I mean, these are the steps.
Excuse me for interruption.
Sure.
I hear you talk about cryptocurrency and stuff, but I see that the United States government took out $1 billion out of some account because it was used for child porn and child trafficking and stuff like that. I don't know if you heard about it or read about it.
The only
and the government's got their fingers in everywhere.
The only account
and if they
I've
wanted to end cryptocurrency tomorrow, they could.
Well, not really. They don't know where they'd have to do a 51% attack, and they don't know where all the miners are. The only account I've ever heard of them claiming being able to seize was, what is his real name? Pirate Roberts.
Ross
Ulbricht's account, and they haven't actually provided evidence of having actually hacked into that account.
So just to keep things a little light here, Padraig, I'll tell you this. The government is afraid of cryptocurrency because cryptocurrency has the ability to replace state-based currency. So the first thing the government is going to do is try and make you believe that it's only used for bad things. When, in fact, the government's currency, that is the United States dollar, is used for some of the most heinous crimes on planet Earth and continues to be used for such a thing. So for them
Jeffrey Epstein was paid in U.S. dollars, I guarantee it.
Yeah, well, just think of all the bombs that have been dropped and all that kind of thing.
Sorry for the interruption again. I understand that. I can see that, but I'm a little older now. I'm 60 years old, and I don't understand cryptocurrency at all. I really don't.
Okay.
I don't understand how people can take dollars out of my check or gold or something, put it in cryptocurrency, see it going up. I see it's going astronomical.
Go on to Bitcoin.com. Go on to Bitcoin.com, go to their Getting Started page, and that's just one way to do it, but just go online, look up starting information for cryptocurrency.
Well, and so you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. Almost no one does that.
Right.
I think it's like 36,000 right now or something ridiculous. You can buy, if you're in person to person, you can't really do this on the exchange because the fees wouldn't be worth it. But if you're person to person, you could buy $1 worth of Bitcoin Cash, or I wouldn't recommend buying $1 worth of BTC, but
Stephanie, that's the way I was raised. When you go in there to purchase something, you put down cash money on the counter. That's the way I was raised. I don't think a lot of people are going to understand that concept.
That's exactly what you can do with cryptocurrencies. So you get a hold of somebody who's got it, and you put your money on the barrelhead, and they put it into your wallet, And there you go.
Yeah. So, but to your point about the taxation.
I'll look into it. I'm older. I just know what's in my pocket is safe.
Right.
Somebody's got to come rob me.
Right, but you could also take and
well, not really though, because the more they print it, the less.
Hang on. You could also take, Padraig, and instead of putting, some of the money that you save into your savings account in the bank, you could also, diversify a little bit, buy some gold, buy some silver. There are other things other than cryptocurrency out there that are not, the U.S. dollar that you could both hold for long-term savings as well as use for potential barter. So there's more than one option. We're just huge fans of cryptocurrency here because we believe it's the future.
And that's one of those things you could do.
I bought a farm, and I can't put the farm in my pocket.
It's
right. It's a piece of dirt.
Yeah.
And a big one.
And it's there. I mean, I can't go anywhere now. I'm tied to it.
That the existence of crypto is going to dissolve the government. That's not going to do it by itself, and
no,
I don't
not
think
by
it's
itself.
even going to be a major player, really. We don't really have enough people
let me think on it a while and see what comes up.
Well, I mean,
I
if you start,
you guys talking to me,
Patrick,
sure.
if you start putting your money in gold,
there's a lot of older people that we just don't get that stuff. That's too modern for us.
Well, you've taken the first step by listening to this show, and we appreciate you, Padraig. Feel free to give us a call again. We appreciate the call. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, okay. I mean, okay, you don't want to learn how this works. That's fine. So you know how gold works.
Right.
Buy some gold.
Right. That's kind of the point I was trying to make, that there are other options than cryptocurrency for somebody that maybe doesn't get the concept. I would argue that, even an older gentleman such as Padraig here probably doesn't really even get the concept of the United States dollar. Maybe, he said he was 60 plus, so perhaps he was around, when it may have been partially backed by something.
And here's something even simpler. He's got a farm.
Yeah.
He's making food. He wants things. So give them food for the things you want.
Right. Barter is the other option.
Or encourage people in your community to deal in silver instead of reserve notes. You could do that.
Yep.
I mean, none of this is going to dissolve the government, though. We don't have enough of people on board with thinking that's a good idea or even an okay idea.
Not yet.
To do that yet. I don't know what to do about it right now other than try to convince people that the state is evil, so why don't we get rid of it?
Right, and that's why we're
it's a
here.
Drop in the bucket, but that's exactly how you fill the bucket.
Yeah, but that's exactly why we're here doing this radio program, is because of that, to convince people or to talk to people and let people know, hey, this organization is archaic, it's barbaric, it's antique, and it's full of evil. There's no reason for it to exist. 603-283-6160 is our phone number. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. Welcome back to the program, everybody. Our telephone number here, if you'd like to join the conversation, is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Beakless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
Now, you've heard us talk about Divvy here on Free Talk Live, and maybe you've wanted to set up one of their easy-to-deploy masternodes, or even stake Divvy, so that you can begin earning Divvy right now. Ian says setting up a Divvy masternode was super easy, and staking was even easier. Now, we're not investment advisors here on Free Talk Live, but we do think you'll be impressed with your earning potential with Divvy as compared to traditional investment vehicles. Go to DivvyProject.org and get started. You can buy Divvy at several exchanges or directly from the Divvy team. If you need help, there's a link to their Telegram channel right on the front page at DivvyProject.org. That's DIVI Project.org. I did want to mention something. Our previous caller, Padrag, had mentioned defunding the government. And boy, I would like to see that. I just wanted to say that.
Wouldn't it be lovely if we could just completely defund the police? Not just a little.
Well, the government.
And not reallocate it and call them something else, but actually just not give them money.
Like the government completely. And everybody goes, oh my God, without the government, what would happen? Well, you know, if the service that you're providing has any value, some entrepreneur will come in and provide that service for you with choice.
Who would insert service here?
Right, yeah. People.
The same people that do all the other things. Who would build the roads? Who gives us food?
Right.
The answer? Well, it's complicated.
Yes.
And that's why it works.
But the answer is always, if it has value, it will be provided by the marketplace. The free market isn't, it's not a policy. It's not anything written down by politicians. It's not a bunch of economists getting together and going, this is what the free market. No, the free market is individuals voluntarily exchanging with other individuals. That's it. That's all it is. That's all the market is. What happens when the government gets involved is they start currying favors for their important friends who have lots of money.
And I think that a lot of people's hesitation is that they perceive themselves as net tax beneficiaries, even though they won't admit that, maybe even consciously to themselves.
What do you mean by net tax beneficiaries?
So I think that they look at their situation and they think, well, I pay X in income tax, but I have roads and I have fire and I have police if they see that as a benefit.
Right.
And I have public schools and I have this, that, the other. And they think that they couldn't afford those things on the free market. And that's not true.
Not at all.
Because first of all, so I think that they say, look at the fact that they get public school for free, but the private school in their town costs $30,000 a kid.
Right.
Well, that's because the government has taken over the regular tier schooling.
Right.
Assuming you're going to send your kids off to somebody else anyway. And the only thing the free market has left to deal with is the top tier, whether it's actually higher quality or not. That's what it's sold as.
Right.
So that would be the top tier. That top tier would still exist, but then you would still have the middle, and I guess you'd probably have a bottom too.
Sure.
And those things would cost significantly less. But then you also have to think, okay, so without the government, you would have no inflation at all.
Right.
You would not have income tax. You would not have sales tax. You would not have car registration. Like, think of everything that they take out of value. Think of everything of value they take from you. That's a lot.
It is.
Well, the truth of the matter is we as a whole, we physically cannot even imagine how wealthy we would be without having everything stolen from us at every turn. I mean, they made this system that is literally more complicated than any single human being can comprehend, where they steal this much here, this much here, this much here, this much here, so that we literally have no idea how wealthy we would be without them stealing every part of this.
My favorite part about imagining a real free market, not what we have currently, we in the United States and even in the globe, I can't think of, outside of the black market, there is no such thing as a free market, right? It's all heavily regulated and taxed and, et cetera and so on. But my favorite part of imagining a real free market is not paying for things that I don't even use. Number one, bombing people. I don't want to pay for any of that at all. I don't have any choice in the matter. I can't, when I fill out my tax forms or when I do my taxes at the end of the year, I can't check a box that says, please remove the amount of my tax money that's going towards bombing people. I can't do that. I have no choice. That's the problem with government, is they claim a monopoly on these things and give people no choice at all. I have no children. Now, if I'm in a position of wealth, I might donate to some schools, because
I might donate to Khan Academy. School's not getting anything out of me.
Right, but I'm saying I might donate to educational entities if I feel like giving and, helping out children and that type of thing. But I don't have any children. I shouldn't be forced to pay for your children.
Well, and just not bombing people.
That's the majority of the budget.
That's the big one.
Right. So it turns out real expensive to explode people.
Yeah.
And we don't want it. So think of everything you're paying in tax, and not just what you're paying in taxes. Think of all the money that you would have if your employer didn't have to pay taxes.
Right.
If anything that they wanted for anything it takes for their business to run didn't have to pay taxes.
Or if you're so inclined and you have a skill, because if you're employed, you probably have a skill, you would be able to start your own business and keep all of the money with no regulations and license fees, and they wouldn't your current employer would not be able to regulate you out of the market. You would be able to afford whatever it is that you think you're getting from the government right now.
And not to mention have some choice in the matter, particularly with the schooling part, right? Like you could have some, right now the only choice you have is to send your kids to public school or the high tier private school. That's it.
Well, in the U.S., you're also allowed to raise your kids yourself.
You can. And in many states, you have to jump through hoops to do so. Lots of government forms to fill out, et cetera, and so on. But I more choice is always better for me in any situation, and I think for people in general. But since we're in the world of finances, let's move on to number 5 here from the 15 signs that you're in an abusive relationship with the government. Control the finances or won't let you work. Does this sound familiar, anyone? COVID-19? If your business is deemed not essential, the local, county, and state governments have the power to close your business. Additionally, some of the hardest hit industries right now are the arts. This one hits home to me. Live music, museums, theaters, many more art venues, and any performance of any kind are effectively shut down, putting many performers and artists out of work. Closing non-essential businesses has merely pushed businesses to online retailers such as Amazon or click-and-collect chain stores.
So imagine that you have a friend, and they're talking to you about, well, my spouse won't let me leave the house, won't let me have a job. What would you think was going on there?
It sounds like an abusive relationship.
Like, maybe you should get out as fast as you possibly can.
Yeah. Figure out an exit strategy. Deploy the exit strategy and regroup once you're no longer in that situation. It sounds kind of like what I've done from moving here to New Hampshire. That was my exit strategy. I left where I was and I came here. And I've learned many things thanks to a lot of you guys. 603-283-6160 is our number if you'd like to join us. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have 2 cats, Zippy and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you'll want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com. I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynovite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynovite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cats to Dynovite, I took the advice from Dynovite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynovite for life.
You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Japan grants suffrage to female robots, and a hypochondriac maple tree is always convinced it has Asian longhorn beetles. The following 2 statements are true. The previous statement is false, and this is the Onion Week in Review. This week, Americans nationwide were stunned to hear horrific allegations on Wall Street revealing that numerous junior bankers have been forced to survive on a mere $6,800 per week. The findings, which implicate numerous high-profile financial institutions such as Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, and Citibank, suggest that hundreds of first-year bankers are constantly deprived of basic necessities, including penthouse apartments overlooking Central Park and regular company-financed vacations to the French Riviera.
Many of these bankers are 23 or 24 years old and don't even have access to an expense account of over $50,000 a year. Not only that, but some of them are making as little as 20 times minimum wage. I mean, this is truly disgraceful.
This is the Onion News Network.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's Antiwar.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com, advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Yes, welcome back to Free Talk Live. The live, on-air, call-in radio talk show where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about anything you'd like to talk about. Our number here is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
And Melanie.
And Peakless Mountaineer is also here.
I'm here.
There he is. And we're going to continue talking about the 15 signs that you're in an abusive relationship with government. We talked about, well, I guess we didn't talk about it much, controlling the finances or won't let you work. We talked about a bit about from this article about how you're essential or not essential, and we did talk a bit about how this relates to personal relationships. So I guess we can move on to number 6. Controlling what you read, watch, and say. That's right. From the beginning of the crisis, online publishing platforms have taken to changing their terms and conditions regularly to justify censorship and takedowns of studies, articles, and videos that don't follow the approved narrative. I'm thinking the Great Barrington Declaration, right? Thousands of doctors, scientists, and a whole bunch of other medical professionals, and then a bunch of people have put together this declaration that basically says, hey, the science over here says that the lockdowns don't work. You're not preventing the spread of COVID in any way, shape, or form. So for F's sake, please relieve the lockdowns. And, of course, nothing happened, right?
Well, and for me, this brings us back into cult territory.
Okay.
So if you are raised in a religious cult, they probably won't let you read other ideas.
Right.
So, again, with all of this stuff, you are not allowed to see the research. They'll even ban you from going to a widely publicized article from a quote-unquote trusted news source if it doesn't exactly agree with their ideas.
Yes.
So if you're not allowed to see other ideas, that doesn't mean that it's because these ideas are the best and those will mislead you. It means that they don't want the competition.
That's a good point. And the same does apply to government as well as it would apply to, a romantic abusive relationship. They don't want the competition. They're inside. They're scared that, whatever it is, you're going to get away or you're going to find somebody better or whatever. Right. That kind of a thing.
Well, it's another kind of don't let them see their friends or their family.
Right.
If you keep them isolated from any outside information source, then they're the only thing you can turn to.
The article continues, additionally, there's plenty of evidence that propaganda campaigns on social media spill over into traditional media outlets, influencing opinion and shifting narratives towards specific goals on a global scale. A 28-year-old pregnant woman was arrested in front of her 2 children for posting on Facebook about an anti-lockdown protest in Ballarat, Australia, drawing criticism from the president of the Australian Human Rights Council. The woman's devices were consequently confiscated, and bail was granted on the condition that she does not access social media until the allotted time. Human Rights Watch notes, arresting people preemptively for the act of organizing peaceful protests or for social media posts is something that happens all too often under authoritarian regimes. It should not be happening in a democracy. Well, it should just not be happening, period, not much less in a democracy.
Well, if you live in China and you try and research Tiananmen Square, good luck. It's information that they simply will not let you have.
I wonder what actually comes up if you're in China and you go to a search engine and you type in Tiananmen Square.
Nothing.
Like,
I think that
literally
a bunch
nothing.
of guys in vans show up, but
No, I've heard about people doing this. Like Americans will visit and see what it's like using the internet beyond the Great Firewall of China. And if you type in Tiananmen Square, it will say 0 results.
Wow.
0 results found. Now
that's creepy.
Now the Chinese have tried to find ways around this by saying, okay, the such and such a time. And then they blocked that. And then it's like they got so far that it was when spring turns to summer. Because, they wanted to research that time of year. Because they couldn't say, well, the end of this month, or the beginning of that month, or just before this month, when spring turns to summer, which does sound like a terrible romance novel. But even that, you couldn't get a result from because too many people were using it to find out what had happened in Tiananmen Square.
Right. And that leads us to item number 7, monitor everything you do. The National Guard was deployed at New York airports to collect travel contact forms. Have you wondered what happens with those forms? One of our colleagues received a robocall from the New York City sheriff after traveling. It threatened her to call back or receive a knock on her door to make sure she is quarantining. That's creepy. And let's not forget, if you see something, say something. I remember that. I hated that. It was, what was her name? I hated her too. Early in 2020, an Australian couple was fined $1,000 for breaking lockdown orders, even though they had posted old photos and did not actually break lockdown rules. So you're going through your photo roll and you're like, oh, yeah, you remember that vacation? Oh, we should post those up on the social media. And then suddenly here comes the Gestapo. Yeah. They were threatened with arrest if they posted any more.
even though photos have internal date stamps on them.
If you use a digital camera.
Well, if you're posting it from your phone, I mean,
Oh,
where
that's
are you
true.
posting it from?
Yeah, once you post, right. But what I'm saying is, like, if your photos don't have a digital stamp and you post it on your social media, it's dated that day that you post them.
No, but the photo itself. So if you take a photo with your phone, there's
Right.
an internal date stamp.
There is, yes.
And then you upload that document to social media.
Right.
So if they did the most basic research, they would know that this photo was from whatever day it
Right.
was taken.
You can program your phone to strip that out, or you can strip it out yourself once you have the photo in the metadata. But you have to jump through a bunch of hoops
That
and know
sounds
what
like
you're
an
doing.
us thing, not a regular people
Right.
with vacation photos
Exactly.
thing.
Well, how long before they start knocking on your door because your profile pic doesn't have a face mask on it?
Yeah, I've been wondering that one myself. I take big issue with the people on the social media platform known as Facebook, which I think should be renamed Maskbook, because there are way too many people with their profile picture wearing their mask. And it's like, I can't even tell who the heck you are. You know? You put a mask on. How do I know you're Bob Smith? Apologies to anyone named Bob Smith out there. I was using a generic
Hey, you
name.
know the how they'd have a picture for like not a picture where it's sort of a vague silhouette with a question mark?
Yeah.
I wonder if I'm going to start seeing vague silhouette with a question mark and a mask.
I remember in the early days of Facebook, somebody had created a user whose name was first name, and then last name in the butt, right? Or no, it was an entity. It wasn't a user. It was a place or person or something, whatever. And then a user would click like, right? And then it would be recommended to you. So it'd be like, Peakless likes it in the butt. He thinks you'll like it in the butt too. It was one of the greatest ploys on like the verbiage that people use. It was hilarious. And it went around, like I received it from so many of my friends who thought it was the most hilarious thing.
Well, I always thought it was strange that if you wanted to follow a person or topic, you have to say that you like it.
Right.
So it couldn't be that I wanted to say, find out what Barack Obama was doing, not because I really like him, but because it might be important to follow and find out what he's doing.
That doesn't strike me as intentional. That strikes me as just carelessness, especially with what Facebook was originally intended for, and they did change that. I don't think that was malicious, although everything they do is.
Seems that way. Yeah. 603-283-6160 is our telephone number if you'd like to join us. Early in the pandemic, states even set up dedicated snitch lines to accommodate for the deluge of 911 calls and violations because, nothing's cooler than telling on your neighbors for violating some useless
Snitches
law.
bring riches.
We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. Local.bitcoin.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at MyMagicMud.com. FTL20, MyMagicMud.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. This is Free Talk Live. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Beakless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
And we'll get to your calls and thoughts in just a moment, and we'll get to more of this article from the American Institute of Economic Research about the 15 signs that you're in an abusive relationship with government. But first, I wanted to tell you about sportkilt.com. Everyone has their own idea of what freedom is. For some people, freedom is the freedom to swing free like the Scotsmen do. Richie Rich and Mark got some great kilts from sportkilt.com. You can even see our hosts wearing Sport Kilt's particular form of freedom at kilt.freetalklive.com. You haven't felt freedom until you've worn a kilt from sportkilt.com. Go ahead and visit that site. I believe they are made in the USA, according to Richie Rich. All right, so doing what we do here on Free Talk Live, let's go to your calls and thoughts. We have Thomas calling. Thomas, you're on Free Talk Live. Welcome.
Hi, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. What's on your mind?
Well, first of all, I want to say, Kevin Kick-Ass, I was watching the Telegram group, and I saw your Christmas carols. I thought they were great. I think you're very creative, and I loved that. That was fantastic.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I had a lot of fun doing that, and the folks who came to the New Year's party looked like they had a lot of fun, too, so it was fun all the way around. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, the main thing I want to get to here before I get tongue-tied, as I usually do when I call in the show here, is I'm trying to get a new user set up on cryptocurrency, and she's got all of her coins on Coinbase. She's very new, and I'm a 5-year crypto veteran and developer, so I'm very comfortable with it. But I don't use these exchanges very often, so I'm not really comfortable with a lot of the changes that I've seen in the various exchanges. And Coinbase is the primary one we're dealing with. The issue that I'm having is being able to pull funds off from the Coinbase account onto a wallet. Because when you say send on Coinbase, it doesn't give you a QR code that you can scan with your phone for the wallet. So the way we did it, basically typed in the long ass address.
Yep.
Painstakingly over and over again, only sending a little teeny bit at first and then sending the full amount later. But it's just a pain in the ass. It seems like it ought to be a lot easier to do.
It can be. I have taken to using, some other form of transport. So in other words, the receiving wallet, it has the long address that's a pain to type in. You can actually click on it, Control A, copy it, and then put it somewhere else. It's only a receiving address, so it doesn't matter if somebody, gets that information unless they accidentally want to send you cryptocurrency. And then you can email it to yourself. You can, use Telegram to log into 2 different devices at the same time. There's a bunch of applications where you can do that. Get that address over to, whatever computer you're logged into Coinbase on or device you use, and then copy it. It's way easier to copy it than it is to type it in like you did. That's
no shit. No kidding.
You can't say that.
I know. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. That's warning number 1. Happens again, I got to hang up on you.
I know. I appreciate the forgiveness here, the grace here.
All right.
Anyway, so it won't happen again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, using the outer band method is what I thought about doing, but using an iPhone, I'm not familiar with the iPhone. She's not that familiar with all how to get things. We got it on the clipboard of the iPhone, but then how do we get it into something we can send, or email wasn't working? There's all kinds of issues.
Well, once it's on the clipboard, that means you copied it and then just paste it to wherever you want to put it.
Well, you can't. Well, yeah, but pasting it where? Her email wasn't working, so we couldn't send email. She had
a Word document, or Pages if you have a Mac. Just wherever you would.
How do you get it off the phone and onto the computer? Email is a great idea. She's not on Telegram.
Yep.
So, I'm aware of these various options, but it seems like they were all exhausted.
Okay, well, you can't you can't copy paste between devices, so you could text it to yourself or something like that.
The other thing that you might do is, I don't know what the 2 devices involved are, but interact with both things on the same device. So, if the wallet has a web version where you can log into the wallet over the web, then log into it on the same device that you're logging into the Coinbase website. Something like that, so that you're on the same device, so you can easily copy between the two.
And
that's a good idea. I think that'll be the approach I'll take the next time.
I feel obligated to point out at this point, like this is a exchange issue. This is not a crypto issue.
Right.
If you have coins on Coinbase, you don't have that crypto. Coinbase has it. So whatever they're doing with it.
That's the whole reason we're moving the coins to a crypto wallet is to get the private keys. I'm aware of this.
Awesome.
So we'll get there. It's just frustrating. That's basically what I'm trying to vent here.
Yep.
Now, there's a couple other minor things I want to bring up here. One is when you say that the phone number to call in, you say it so fast. It took me like 3 tries before I could write it down and get all of them, but I finally made it.
I'll try and slow it down for the rest of the audience. I appreciate the feedback.
And then the listen line number keeps changing. Is that something you guys are aware of? I mean, every time I try to call the listen line, it seems it's different.
Yeah, there's some changes going on. All I can reveal is behind the scenes, and most of that will be ironed out very soon. We're aware that there is an issue there. We hope for it to be remedied permanently in the very near future. So we apologize for any interruptions there.
All right, the last thing. This is something that I've been aware of for a long time, and I haven't taken the time to call in about it. And I'm not sure how to broach it exactly, but I get kind of frustrated or a little bit tired of hearing the same old issues brought up, arguments brought up without any resolution, without any building upon knowledge, so that when you make a point and it's agreed that, hey, the government's bad or whatever, how can we build upon that so that every call doesn't seem to rehash the same things over and over again? It seems like that's what happens a lot. For example, it seems like we're whacking at the limbs of the tree rather than at the trunk of the tree. It gets back to the conspiracy theory and the fact that so many people worrying about the issues that the conspiracy theories cause rather than the root cause of the conspiracy theory in the first place, or the whole reason that things are happening in the first place.
Well, solutions come from everywhere, Thomas. Do you have any solutions?
To what?
Any of the problems that you have heard us talk about where we haven't offered a solution?
Well, put me on the spot here. Let me think. I should have written that down because I've got my notes here.
It's okay.
Let me think.
It's all right if you don't, because the solutions are difficult to come by. Well, and that's kind of my point.
That's for sure. But I guess I'm getting at the whole idea of the fact that certain things have acknowledged. It's a matter of the conspiracy theories and proving the parts that are not factually based versus those that are. And when you find something that is definitely proven, that people kind of assume that it's not proven, and they kind of rehash the reasons why they think it's not proven. It's hard for me to express what I'm trying to express.
It sounds like you're talking about when we sort of get into the weeds about particular details, about particular little things that they've done, and really the first thing to do is, okay, the principle is we can't let anyone get away with using violence and threats.
Yeah, the non-aggression principle, absolutely. That's the bottom line thing, yes.
So step 1, figure out the problem. That's the root problem. Step 2, the solutions. Okay, here's our circumstance. Now, the solutions lie in getting around continuing this pattern of behavior. So even when you run into problems like, you really shouldn't use an exchange unless you want to play by their rules, you're still going into a solution is stop using their money. A solution is stop using their court system. A solution.
Okay, I found a good example. You know how Ernie Hancock is asking, not recently, but in the last month or two, he was asking, well, when did it get to be where I couldn't even occupy my own land and do what I want in my own land without me bothering anybody, without being hassled by the government? He's asked the question like he doesn't know the answer. I mean, the legal system has gotten corrupt over a long period of time. It's not something that's happened overnight. And so it seems like nobody seems to acknowledge that the legal system at its foundational level, even the Constitution, this is a good example of Constitution. I mean, people go back and say, the Constitution we ought to get back to that. Well, there's a lot of flaws in the Constitution as to why we're dealing with the issues that we're dealing with now. And people don't seem to recognize that, and we don't build upon the knowledge that's been proven of why the Constitution has holes in it. Does that make sense?
It does, and we appreciate the call tonight, Thomas. We'll continue to talk about this as the show goes on. Solutions are difficult to come by. That's, not a secret. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up. 603-283-6160.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Introducing the congressional class of 2021. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. The 117th Congress convenes today. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is expected to keep the gavel.
Usually it's a party line vote, but always there's some deviations. You might have people voting present, and this is why Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats have indicated it is so important that they vote for her so that they maintain the majority. And you can't beat somebody with nobody. We've had votes cast over the years for Colin Powell, John Lewis, the late congressman from Georgia.
Fox's Chad Pergram. Over in the Senate, at least a dozen Republicans plan to object to certifying the Electoral College results on Wednesday. Senator Ted Cruz on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures.
We've seen in the last 2 months unprecedented allegations of voter fraud. And that's produced a deep, deep distrust of our democratic process across the country. I think we in Congress have an obligation to do something about that. We have an obligation to protect the integrity of the democratic system.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell had urged Republicans not to join House Republicans in these certification challenges. He's publicly acknowledged President-elect Joe Biden is the winner of the race.
Fox's Mark Meredith in Washington. Thousands of President Trump's supporters plan to protest in the nation's capital that day. The balance of power in the Senate remains up for grabs because of a pair of runoff races in Georgia.
In the first runoff race, you have incumbent Republican Kelly Loeffler facing Democrat Reverend Raphael Warnock. In the other race, incumbent David Perdue facing challenger John Ossoff, who says if you send him to Washington, he'll deliver on those $2,000 checks. Now, early voting shows Republicans will need a strong turnout north of here in Atlanta, and that's why President Trump tweeting he's heading down here tomorrow at 9 p.m., rallying in Dalton.
Fox's Griff Jenkins. If Democrats win both races, the chamber would be split 50-50, with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris casting the tie-breaking vote. America is listening to Fox News.
Why are you still going to the post office? Do it all online with Stamps.com. Avoid trips to the post office, print postage, send invoices, letters, or packages, and schedule pickups right from your home or office, 24/7. Get close to 10% off first-class stamps, up to 40% off priority mail, and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter code FOX for a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. Stamps.com, code FOX.
Tens of thousands of Iraqis gathering in Baghdad to mark 1 year since the killing of a top Iranian general in a U.S. drone strike. Iran responded to the death of Qasem Soleimani by launching a barrage of missiles at bases in Iraq. More than 100 U.S. troops suffered traumatic brain injuries in those attacks. So far, COVID-19 vaccination targets for the American people have fallen well short of promises.
Dr. Moncef Slaoui, top advisor for U.S. vaccine development, says there must be a better effort in getting vaccines to people. He feels the inoculation rate will rise, but said on CBS Face the Nation they need help from states to determine where doses should go, whether it's health facilities or drugstore chains.
That has to be done with people that have granular knowledge of their population, their movements, where the older people are.
Dr. Slaoui says not only will getting past the holiday season help numbers, but there is the promise of yet another vaccine approval that could come in a matter of weeks. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
NBA Hall of Famer Paul Westphal has died. Westphal won a championship with the Boston Celtics in 1974 and moved to coaching after his playing career ended. The 70-year-old was diagnosed with brain cancer last August. The star of Wonder Woman 1984 announces a new series documenting accomplishments of women.
Gal Gadot took to Instagram to announce a brand new National Geographic docuseries that focuses on women across the globe. It's titled Impact.
It's a powerful docuseries that tells the story of
If you're looking for work, the person you are applying to is probably so swamped with applicants that he or she is tough to reach. So call early in the day, before 8 a.m., before the palace guards arrive. You'll need your prospect's direct number, and here's a sneaky way to get it. Suppose the company's main number is 555-5000. You should call 555-5012. When someone says, "Good morning, Pam Johnson," you should innocently say, "Oops, somebody here must have written this down wrong. I was calling for Tom Frederick. What's his direct number?" If the very next thing you hear isn't Pam giving you Tom's number, it may be, "Good morning, Tom Frederick." For more tips for job seekers and getting better results in all your day-to-day communication, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Republicans back a plan for universal lawn care. And an RC car works up the courage to approach a group of girls. And now a recap of the week's news for those who like to waste their summers surfing the internet. Fall, the long-running series of shorter days and cooler nights, was canceled this week after nearly 3 billion seasons on Earth. The classic period of the year, which once occupied the coveted slot between summer and winter, will be replaced by new stifling humidity levels and near-constant sunshine. A shiny, bobbing object in the water is generating fascination among members of the fish community, who have described it as pleasingly wiggly and minnow-esque. Aquatic experts say that decisive action must be taken against the object very soon. In local news, just when 27-year-old Andrew Sheets didn't think his vacation could get any better, a rerun of Spin City came on. And in other headlines, a bee stuck between the screen and front door is going nuts. And a water skier lets go of the crossbar to greet those not currently water skiing.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Six 603-283-6160. That is the phone number for us here at the Free Talk Live radio studio if you would like to join us. Again, 603-283-6160. And
hang on, 603-283-6160.
Is our phone number? In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
And we are going to continue talking about this article from the American Institute of Economic Research, also known as AIER. This is number 8 in the 15 signs that you are in an abusive relationship with government. Number 8, punish you for breaking the rules, but the rules keep changing.
That sounds familiar. Why, this might even predate the COVIDs.
This happens to gun owners all the time. whenever there's some sort of a thing in the news and people get their panties in a bunch because it involved a gun. We gotta have more gun control, more. And despite the 40,000 laws about gun control that didn't stop whatever happened anyway,
well, now
they decide to make the screw on the left-hand side of your gun illegal now. So if you have a screw on the left-hand side of your gun, before today you were perfectly legal, but after today, now you're a felon.
Well, now, I've heard that they occasionally change the rules on paying taxes.
Oh, yes.
And those are all ex post facto laws, actually. So usually with gun laws, if you did it before they made it illegal, then you're good. With taxes, they decide the next year what you should have done the year before.
You're kidding.
With income taxes, anyway.
You're kidding. So they decide this year what you should have done last year to file your taxes properly.
Yeah. Well, wow. No. So you file for the year before, because otherwise, how could you?
Right.
So they make the rules for what you should have done in 2020 and 2021, and sometimes don't even publish them and finalize them until March.
Right. So everyone who's trying to run a business and keep their expenses down has to basically be psychic about what rules they're going to change next year.
Yes.
Indeed.
And you wonder why we have some trouble with businesses closing down.
This article says they will get up in front of camera and espouse the virtues of following the rules and then turn around and break them without a second thought. If you break their rules, they will shut you down and then go to Hawaii for dinner. Can't keep up with the rules? They'll shift regularly, and blame will be placed on you for not following the previous orders.
Ignorance of the unknowable is no excuse.
Even those who think ahead and proactively try to improve public safety are caught up. In March, police threatened to fine a London shopkeeper £80 for criminal damage after she, quote, vandalized, unquote, the sidewalk with chalk markings intended to help customers observe the 6-foot distancing.
Well, and this is
not to mention it's temporary, right?
And this is the perfect way to drive someone insane.
Oh, yeah.
If you punish them for a behavior and then you change the rules so that they don't get punished for that behavior, that's how you make someone crazy.
Yes, indeed. Moving along, number 9. They tell you it's for your own good and that they know better. This is the problem I have with, the public. The general public thinks or believes that folks in government know better. Like, we've got people for that. They know better than we do. How do you know that?
The reason I told you that masks don't work is because then you would want masks, and I wanted those to go to the doctors. And that's why I'm telling you that masks work now. It was for your own good that I was lying to you.
Right.
And if he'd have just said, they work, but I want to ration them for doctors, most people probably would have listened.
Yeah.
Yep. In May, editorial director Jeffrey Tucker documented how dentists and doctors were prevented from accepting new patients. This totally happened. We were told that to protect our health, we cannot receive medical care unless it's an emergency. You cannot see a dentist. You cannot see a doctor. You cannot have elective surgery. You can't continue chemotherapy or receive a transplant either. It's true. All of these things were shut down.
And elective surgery is not what it sounds like, by the way. Elective surgery sounds like a facelift or a nose job.
Yeah.
Elective surgery means it should be called a scheduled surgery.
They will tell you that it's for your own protection and to follow the experts to ensure the safety of the whole. Consensus is the clarion call of these pundits. This is a form of pathological altruism, which is defined as any behavior or personal tendency in which either the stated aim or the implied motivation is to promote the welfare of another. But instead of overall beneficial outcomes, the altruism instead has irrational and substantial negative consequences.
So government.
Yeah, basically.
In a nutshell.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that applies. Number 10, don't allow you to question it. So in an abusive romantic relationship, the abuser makes some sort of a decision, and then if the abusee is like, well, why or how or when or, any of those types of words, they simply, lash out.
And I'm sorry to sound like a broken record, but cults. Like the thing that you can tell, like, oh, maybe this is an oppressive monolithic structure, is that when you have an idea, you can't just have an open dialogue about, hey, I think you might have missed something here.
Well, there is an argument to be made that statists are cultists.
They certainly have the rituals for it.
Yeah. Many of the, we'll say, pillars of cultism exist within statism. Perhaps they all do. I haven't looked into it from that perspective, but I think you're onto something. And it's not just a chair. You may be on drugs. We don't know. Anyway,
what are you growing under my feet?
Many highly qualified and respected scholars and public health officials stepped up to question the current trajectory and consequences of lockdowns and policy. They have been met with brutal opposition. Any attempts to question the lockdowns or raise doubts about the approach led to attempted deplatforming or silencing of any debate. A California trauma medical director, Dr. Michael Dubois Blanc, I guess is how you pronounce that, was fired for concluding, based on data, that it is safe to reopen schools and writing a letter questioning Contra Costa County's lockdown measures. Even our local town council condemned the Great Barrington Declaration, and the official website was originally excluded from Google searches in the UK and Australia.
So this is another side of control what you read, watch, and say.
Yes. You're not allowed to question it. Right? And if they control what you're allowed to read, watch, and say, then they're limiting the amount of questions that you're going to ask.
Right.
So,
same action from two different perspectives.
yeah, these things all work together in conjunction to make what we know as the, 15 pillars of abuse.
And that's the thing. You can't silence one person without controlling what the other person can hear.
That is true. Number 11, they tell you you're crazy, and no one agrees with you.
There's no such thing as gaslighting. You made it up because you're crazy.
There is gaslighting. I'm a juvenile humorist. I have a juvenile sense of humor, and I have successfully lit my farts on fire. Is that not gaslighting?
That's not what it refers to.
That's not what you mean?
No.
Oh, well, no. What do you mean?
Well, this actually refers to an old movie where someone had, because back in the day, the lights were controlled sometimes by a gas knob that you could turn up and down.
Mm-hmm.
So the wife in this scenario is talking about how the lights are brighter or darker,
mm-hmm.
and the husband in this scenario is saying, no, they've always been at this. So the term gaslighting was born, where they tell you that you are not experiencing what you are in fact experiencing.
Wow.
So that you begin to question your own sanity instead of accurately perceiving reality.
Have you been gaslighted by your government?
Be an anarchist instead. It'll solve that for the most part.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is coming up.
Bear, the rescue dog, had very flaky skin, dropping a lot of fur, and Levette wanted to do steroid injections. I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
Probably 6 weeks after we started using Dinovite. No more flaky skin. He doesn't scratch and itch. It was awesome.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com.
That's Bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. D-I-V-I Project.org.
Free Talk Live.
They're the mafia. They function like the mafia. They think like the mafia. They hire people who think like the mafia. The only difference is they put on a front that there's something legitimate and legal and valid about all of it.
Well, there's no Don in this particular mafia. The Don is the majority of people who went out and voted and then put their new Don in place. And sometimes the Dons change and sometimes they don't. Incumbents are very difficult to unseat, and but their henchmen stay in place the whole time. It's quite a sophisticated mob operation.
It is. Well, it's the
have.
mafia that is so successful, that has so brilliantly pulled the wool over people's eyes, that they've actually gotten people to give them their children so the mafia can educate them into believing that they need the mafia.
Right. We have free indoctrination camps. Schools for you to send your kids to.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Yes, welcome back to Free Talk Live. Our phone number is 603-283-6160. That number again, 603-283-6160, if you'd like to join the conversation. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Bigless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
And you can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. And that's what makes it cool. It also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar now for June 28th through July 4th, 2021, and we'll see you at forkfest.party. I know I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
It's going to be fun.
It's one of the only events that we're sure will happen.
Perhaps I'll bring a similar-sized bottle of Jameson.
Ooh. Well, that sounds dangerous.
It does, doesn't it? I would tell you about what happened the last time, but, well, we finished the bottle, so we don't remember.
I got told about it later. Sounds pretty hilarious.
I heard some tales, but you don't know what to believe, Like,
I heard a few tales.
How drunk were the people recalling the tale that they're regaling you with?
I don't know. They told it well enough that I had to pay for some stuff, so.
Well, you're a good man.
If only he hadn't have been in the hot tub at the time, man.
So we were talking about the 15 signs that you're in an abusive relationship with government. We were at number 11. Tell you you're crazy and no one agrees with you. We discussed gaslighting. This article says if you could spend any amount of time on social media, or if you spend any amount of time on social media, and if you have an opinion that counters the narrative, you've probably experienced some backlash. No. Us?
No.
Here? People who talk on this show experience backlash? Never.
You just have to not care is the trick there. It's pretty simple.
As our colleague Phil Magnus knows too well, there is seemingly no end to accusations of straw man arguments and denials of any wrongdoing from lockdown supporters. Political figures such as Fauci, that's Fauci, claim there is consensus on the science that they are following.
The science.
The science is settled, as our co-host Nobody would say.
There's only one, and I know it.
Claims of consensus are defied by petitions such as the Great Barrington Declaration, now signed by nearly 40,000 medical practitioners, over 13,000 medical and public health scientists, and 700,000 plus members of the public, which show you that you are not alone in recognizing the substantial adverse effects and limited success of the lockdowns, not to mention the stupidity of the lockdowns. They're stupid. They're dumb. Need we say more? I don't think so. They tell you you're crazy. No one agrees with you. Number 12, they call you names or shame you for being stupid or selfish. I guess I just kind of shamed the lockdown people by calling the lockdown stupid, but they are. They're stupid.
Grandma killer.
Jorge
Haircut wanner.
Jorge Elorza, mayor of Providence, Rhode Island, remarked on a radio show on the radio that if you see large gatherings or someone out in public not wearing a mask, you should socially shame them so that they'll fall in line.
Shut up, Baldy. Wear the mask.
India went further, publishing names, phone numbers, and addresses of COVID-positive individuals in newspapers and on social media, violating medical ethics codes, patient privacy rights, and leading to stigmatization, aggressive attacks, and social ostracism.
Because if you want somebody to isolate themselves at home and stay at home and quarantine themselves, the best thing you should do is send people to their house to harass them. They definitely won't leave then.
Yeah, full derp. Being anti-lockdown has been linked with racism, ageism, and white supremacy. A string of blame is targeted at young people, restaurants, and right-wing individualists.
You mean people with jobs? That was a list of people with jobs.
Only a Nazi wouldn't do what the government tells them.
Only a Nazi would say that list is full of people with jobs.
Okay. Oh, well. Is it true? I don't care.
No, it's not true. This is frequently followed with wishes that these selfish individuals, these COVID deniers, these COVIDiots will and should catch COVID and die. Here's it's George Takei from Star Trek. The COVID idiots, or COVIDiots as I call them, aren't just endangering themselves by continuing life as normal in packed social places. They're putting all of our lives at risk. If you know a kafeve who is acting irresponsibly, please shame them into social isolation. Thanks, George.
Okay, so you want people to isolate, and the penalty for not isolating is isolate them.
Yeah.
If you don't isolate yourself, we'll do it for you.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I was watching Deadpool, and it's like, the thing about round-the-clock torture, not anywhere to go from there. And that's the thing. Like, it's very true that the way that you get people to act in accordance with societal expectation is by not letting them participate when they fail to do so.
Yeah.
Right. we're all not allowed to participate in society.
Allowed. I hate that word.
That's why you should live among a community of anarchists, because we don't care. Some of the businesses just stayed open when they were ordered to close anyway. Yep. And you could just still go hang out because
they didn't
they're
care.
not going to stop us.
Yeah, they're like, whatever. I do what I want. You know, I mean,
if you don't shun literally everyone, we will shun you.
If you're not hurting anybody, right? You're not creating any damage to somebody's property. You're not hurting another human being. What's the problem? Now, these people are going to say, oh, well, you're an asymptomatic carrier and you could be spreading it. Well, okay. I could be an asymptomatic carrier spreading anything, and I could have been my entire frickin' life, right? The question that I have for these folks who are all about the masking and the lockdowns is, why did you only begin wearing the mask when the TV told you to? At any rate, number 13.
Well, I just want to say, asymptomatic carriers are possessed by the devil.
By the devil, you must be healed, my child.
And if you don't believe me, you should consult my lab coat priest.
If you don't believe me, you can consult my left, testicle. That's right. I said it.
Is that where the vaccine is?
No, it's not where the vaccine is.
Well, there was one
checked?
article.
We have more Free Talk Live for you coming up.
Doodle, Stuart, Harold, and Pork Chop. Pork Chop, his beautiful blonde coat is very thick. He's an Akita, German Shepherd, Lab, Husky mix. They did a DNA test on the 4 rescues. The first year is just a complete retraining. Lots of love, discipline, and daily upkeep. I'm a registered nurse and a personal trainer. If I eat healthy, then my dog should eat healthy. DINOVITE.com. They need the vitamins and minerals that Dynavite provides.
Dynavite is nutrition.
Harold, the Border Collie Pit Mix, has the most beautiful jet black coat. Stuart, my rat terrier, has fur now where he never had it before. Doodle, he's a poodle cocker spaniel. His energy is tremendous. The Dynavite will make your dog happy, vivacious, jump up and down, wag their tails. It will make you smile.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynavite at DINOVITE.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Hey, who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. This is...
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait a minute. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Live video of our Keene, New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves, talk about anything you want, anything at all. Just, we do have some FCC rules that we have to abide by, so no cussing, please, and thank you. If you do cuss, we'll have to dump you, disconnect your call, and that type of thing. So, 603-283-6160. That's the telephone number if you'd like to join the conversation. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
And let's just go ahead and go to your calls and thoughts. We have David calling from New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, government abuse. Here's a good one. Misdemeanor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, and you're talking about what you were told by the TV. Well, I was told by a TV that I was under arrest for stalking, harassing. What else was it?
Wait.
The
TV told you that?
The TV told you were under arrest.
David, are you on drugs?
Yeah. No, that damn transvestite cop, man. That MG Barreras, Mary Grace. The one that's about 300 pounds and has a really deep voice. Mary Grace Barreras.
Told you were under arrest through a television.
No, through a TV, a transvestite, man. A sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania.
Not a television, David.
No, TV, man, not a television.
All right, did you call to talk about something?
Yeah, well, I am talking about that. So government abuse. So I would say being arrested by a transvestite is abusive for one thing, and when it's for not for a legitimate reason.
Being arrested by anybody is kind of abusive.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. It's especially abusive when it's from a TV, though.
Is it?
So anyway,
is it really?
Yeah.
Walk
it
me
is.
through
it
that.
is.
How is it more abusive to be arrested by a TV than a non-TV?
Well, because they have a personal agenda. They have a political agenda that they're exercising because they don't want the, white.
So non-transvestites don't have personal agendas?
You know what? You ask a question, and then I start to answer it, and then you interrupt and ask a second question before I answer your first question.
I'm seeking clarification.
There you go again. There you go again. So that's 3 questions now. Which of your 3 questions would you like me to address, sir?
None of them. You can continue.
Oh, okay. All right. So anyway, so the TV arrests me. He writes me up on she, he, she, whatever. I forgot. I don't know what the pronouns should be. On 4 different misdemeanor charges. Now here's where the real abuse comes in. Oh, and this is DA Raul Torres and his wife, Dean of Students Nasha Torres, are the ones that are ultimately responsible for this ridiculousness. And so that was there were 4 charges, and the first one was it was a misdemeanor, and it might even have been a petty misdemeanor, and it was in 2016, and we are now in 2021, and that's 5 calendar years that a misdemeanor has been active before being disposed in the court system. Now we have a hearing coming up on the 8th of January, which is Elvis's birthday and the birthday of my daughter Paisley Olson, And coincidentally, I am going to destroy DA Raul Torres of Bernalillo County, New Mexico.
Yep.
And I will be 4 for 4 in defeating DA Raul Torres on the 8th, unless he wants to decide that he's not going to dismiss this one like he's dismissed the other ones after 5 years.
So this is coming up for you on the 8th?
Yeah, on the 8th. You can look it up on the New Mexico Courts.gov case lookup if you want to look it up. Olson David. You
Awesome.
can see it for yourself.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for the call tonight, David. We appreciate it. Good luck with all of that. I wish you the best. And, of course, keep us informed with what happens. I wish you the best. I do. So, anyway, circling back to the 15 signs. Number 13, they gaslight you, challenge your memory of events, or make you doubt yourself. Now, we've talked about gaslighting a little bit already.
They've never done that.
All around the world, we've been told conflicting story after story. However, bringing up these inconsistencies means you're likely to be met with a cavalier shrug or a challenge of your perceptions. They will attempt to connect you to questionable logic and politicize it to their advantage while flipping the narrative. We're not virtue signaling, you're vice signaling. Oh,
it was never about flattening the curve for 2 weeks.
Yes, it was. I mean, that's what they said, right? But you're right. You're right. It never was.
I've never said that masks didn't work.
So I was reading a thing today. I didn't bring it in for show prep, but it was somebody that said the reason they keep increasing the measures, whatever it is, whether it's the masks or the lockdowns or some subsection of any of these mandates, the reason that it's done in periods of time that are around 2 weeks is because if they told you it was going to be permanent, there would have been a revolution already.
No one is talking about doing that.
Wait, what?
Well, no, seriously, you can like insert anything, insert some crazy idea.
Right, yeah.
And like no one is talking about never kissing anybody. No one is talking about wearing eye protection all the time. No one is talking about not seeing your grandma for Thanksgiving. No one is talking about regulating how you use the bathroom.
All right, let's move on. Number 14, dismissing your opinions. If shaming or gaslighting you doesn't work, then dismissing your opinion is the next best option.
Whatever.
Unelected officials. What do you mean?
Whatever.
Are you dismissing my opinion?
I never did that.
Nobody's talking about dismissing your opinions.
You crazy grandma killer.
Unelected officials have dismissed alternative opinions as nonsense and very dangerous. They will dismiss you as unqualified while allowing the opinions of others, obviously unqualified experts, to influence policy and society. Sharing anything that goes against the status quo will likely earn you a "you're not an epidemiologist" from the masses. I don't think the regular public can pronounce epidemiologist.
Are you a doctor? Are you a doctor? I don't think you're a doctor.
A doctor of what?
I mean, I'm a fan of Doctor Who, but that's not relevant. Or is it time and relative dimensions in space? We don't know. So anyway, yeah, they'll call you names and they'll make fun of you and they'll tell you that you're not a thing that, they think you have to be in order to pronounce.
Okay, you have to be immune to that
words.
just for being in regular life. Like, just going about your life on a day-to-day basis, you need to be immune to mockery. I'm sorry.
No, you do. You have to grow a full skin or a thick skin. And, saying something like this is like, gosh, I hear something wrong with my car. My car is leaning to the left towards the front. I might have a flat tire. And then you get out and you look and you're like, oh, it looks like I have a flat tire. And somebody goes, how do you know? You're not a mechanic.
Do you have ASE certification? I don't think so.
It's dumb. All right, so number 15, play the victim. If things go wrong, it's all your fault. Victimization and blame can be found almost anywhere you look on social media, in the news, and in public life. Suggestions that you may be responsible for deaths if you don't mask up, or that you're not a good person and your actions are entirely selfish, are very common.
The fact that you won't wear a face diaper is why we don't have concerts yet.
Right. Oh, this totally happened in Seattle whenever they announced round 2, ding, 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 of the lockdowns, right? Seattle was one of the most lockdown areas in the United States, and they announced round 2. And several people on the social media said things like, we're only going into this lockdown part 2 because so many people wouldn't wear their masks. Literally crying.
Well, the lockdowns were so effective that we really have to do another round, but they weren't effective enough, so we need another round.
Right. I'd like another
just
round.
Double down on that. Like, yep, sure.
I'd like another round. Anyone want to buy me a whiskey? I could use a round right about now.
After all this, I could use a round.
603.
It is an antiseptic.
It is a solution, technically.
Yeah.
603-283-6160. Free Talk Live will return.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Welcome back. It's the final segment of Free Talk Live. I think the guy in the music here as we come back from the break is laughing at me. He went, ha ha. I feel like he's making fun of me.
Well, why
I believe
do you
that's
care?
one of the signs of abuse, sir.
Is he gaslighting me? Is he telling me what I can and can't wear?
Is he calling me a grandma killer?
And I want to point out, like, 3 of the things on this list so far could be completely solved just by being an anarchist. Because which is one of the great benefits of being an anarchist, you'll never get in the anarchist society, but you know in your own brain, this entity is evil.
Yes.
So when they start telling you things, you can just not accept that as fact.
Right. Yes. It's like grandfather.
They're still evil for doing it, but it's a benefit of being an anarchist.
It's like grandfather George Carlin said, one of my first rules, I have very few rules, but one of my rules is I never believe anything the government tells me.
Well, and I really wish that even a significant minority of the population was physically capable of doing this. But I mean, their entire worldview is fundamentally founded on things the government told them.
Yeah, changing your worldview is painful. That doesn't mean it doesn't have benefits, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
Correct.
Well, should and can are different things.
This article finishes off with, now is the time to break the cycle and reclaim your life. The goal of any abuser is to ensure you feel isolated, alone, and dependent so they can maintain control. If you have no options, someone or somewhere else to turn, the abusive narcissist or sociopath can continue to imprison you, making it harder for you to leave. The power an abuser holds over individuals becomes exponentially worse when they're given absolute authority to enforce and implement methods for keeping you confused or confined inside the relationship. We have ceded our power and authority to the government.
Well, and keeping you confined inside of your abusive relationship is a big part of why they don't want a real debate on important topics. Because if you get a real, open, level playing field kind of debate, then you start realizing that you're not alone in thinking these things.
That was one of the motivating factors for me personally to come here. Thanks to the power of the internet and the radio and all that kinds of thing. Not only Free Talk Live, but some other, people might call them celebritarians, but anarchist libertarians who put out content on the internet, YouTube videos or, music even for that matter, written articles, stuff like that. I always had, I feel like I always had, freedom-leaning tendencies are in my head. And then I would bring them up from time to time. Like I always saw the conflict of interest in the cops, the prosecutor, and the judge all claiming a paycheck from the same entity, right? That's conflict of interest.
It's like, okay, so one side of the argument and the one deciding which side is correct are in the same business.
They're getting paid by the same guy.
And
same
I'm
bank.
not.
Same paycheck, right. So, and I would say things to people occasionally. And, of course, they would say things like, well, what makes you think that? You're crazy, right? You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, maybe. Maybe I am, So then I started hearing other people talking in these thoughts. I'm like, I've had that thought. I thought something similar when this happened to me, right?
Wait,
and
what?
I was like,
someone else knows?
I'm not crazy.
Right.
Or I'm crazy in the same way that some of these other people are crazy, and I would prefer to go and meet these people and hang out with them.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Occam's razor. If you're seeing this thing too, and you're seeing this thing too, maybe it's actually there.
Yeah. It's just that it was so much easier to shield pre-internet, right? The state had so much more control than they do post-internet, right? Now,
that's why they're trying to bring us back there.
Right.
That's why they're censoring, most people don't even use, the full internet. They use Facebook.
Right. They think Facebook is the internet. There are people who are like, let me get on the internet, and they're on Facebook. It's like, well, okay. Public school, doing a great job. Doing a great job. Bang up. Well done. Neato. Yeah. So, if you are of the mind of freedom, if you are of the mind of liberty, and, you see these conflicts as well, perhaps consider relocating to New Hampshire. Real quick, before we go on, I want to take a minute to thank Nick. He is a silver level amplifier. That means he went over to amp.freetalklive.com and decided to contribute a small amount of money. We only ask for $5 a month. You can donate more if you want. This money goes to help us get this radio program on more radio stations exclusively. So it doesn't go to Peakless Mountaineer cigarette habit. It doesn't go to my booze habit. It doesn't go to Do you have a habit?
I have kids.
It doesn't go to her kids. It goes specifically to get this program on more radio stations. We're on 185, 190, somewhere in that pocket. Radio
cigar
stations
habit.
right now. Cigar, okay, right. Well,
It's like
that's
like
more
cigarettes.
expensive, right?
You do the
It's like
cloves,
cigarettes,
too.
but with class.
You do the cloves, though, so those are cigarettes.
No, they're not.
No, they're cigars.
No, selling clove cigarettes in America is illegal.
But smoking them.
Still legal.
Okay. All right. Well, at any rate, visit amp.freetalklive.com and consider donating to help us get on more radio stations. If you have partaken and enjoyed this show, we are on 7 nights a week for 3 hours between 7 and 10 Eastern. So, final thoughts. The government and your abusive relationship with them.
Well, I wanted to play off of what you were saying. I mean, if I had been stuck back in Colorado, I was the only one there.
Yeah.
I mean, I already was isolated. I already didn't have contact with anyone who could notice the elephant in the room.
Right.
So, I mean, it sounds like hyperbole, but moving out here was literally a lifesaver. I don't think I would have survived 2020 if I'd stayed there. And moving out here where not only is there a handful of people that I can actually talk to about what's really going on, but an entire community where we're slowly but surely building up an entire commerce network that not only is suspicious of, but stops relying on these abusers. There are no words.
It's pretty special.
It is.
Melanie?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that relationship kind of denotes a voluntary association to me. So they're my occupiers more so than anything.
Right.
They're just there and make claims to land that they really don't own. I mean, they steal my money and basically isolate my kid because I used to be able to take him places and he's scared of masks. And it's like, okay, well, is it better for your development if I leave you at home all the time, or is it better for your development if I show you people without faces? I don't know.
Right.
And I can't ask the doctor because they're not going to tell me.
Right.
And
government certainly doesn't have the
I can
answer.
still take him to anarchist events. Like we went to a thing this morning, but I can't go out and spend money on entertainment like every week, whereas like you would go to the grocery store every week or whatever.
It's difficult.
Well, there's a very special relationship between a torture artist and their victim. An involuntary and horrible relationship.
Yeah, that's the point. You know, we had some calls last night and folks just couldn't get it through their head that it's the organization of government and any level of it that's archaic, barbaric, antique, you know, that it's involuntary. None of us said, hey, yes, please do all these things to me. Here, I signed a contract that says I want you to do all these things to me. I want you to take all my money. I want you to tell me what the rules are. I want you to tell me what I can and can't say and where I can and can't go and when I can and can't go. None of us ever said, please do that to me.
And the difference between a boxing match and assault, the difference between lovemaking and rape. Did you sign up for it? Are you into this?
It all comes back to consent.
Yeah.
And I did not consent.
And I do not consent.
And I refuse to give my consent for this type of an organization to rule over us.
And it's scary to know that you are so different from most people, but there's really nothing like having a community of people like you.
It really is helpful. We are about out of time. If you missed any of the show, you can find us over at freetalklive.com or archives.freetalklive.com. We've got history going back many, many years. Thanks to our callers. Thanks to you guys. Have a good night, everybody. Peace.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please